Bhante and Anoma, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. It's been a few years since I came here, Buddha Dhamma Mandala Society. See, now it's quite beautiful. Renovation work has been done. Tonight, I have to give a talk on how to develop the 7 Bojjhangas. This is a very important topic. And most of the suttas on the Bojjhangas are found in the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter 46, called the Bojjhanga Samyutta. Bojjhanga is translated as factors of enlightenment, or factors of bodhi, or bodhi factors. In the Sutta 46.8, it is said, those who have undertaken the 7 Bojjhanga have undertaken the Aryan path leading to the complete destruction of suffering. So if you practice the 7 Bojjhangas, this is the Aryan path to the complete destruction of suffering. But this is also said of the Aryan Eightfold Path. Aryan Eightfold Path consists of 8 factors which if you develop will also end with complete destruction of suffering. So these two are quite related, the 7 Bojjhanga and the Aryan Eightfold Path. The difference is on the stress on the different factors. In the Sutta 46.3, it is described how to practice the Bojjhanga. It is said that first you must visit or draw close to an Arya or a Sappurisa. An Arya is one of the 8 Aryans. The 8 Aryans have attained stages of enlightenment. First path, first fruit, second path, second fruit, third path, third fruit, and fourth path, fourth fruit. The 4th fruit, Arya, is a fully enlightened being, and that is the Sammasambuddha, the Buddha who wants to teach the whole world the Dhamma. And then it also includes the Pacceka Buddha. We find from the suttas, we can say that 99.99% of Buddhas are Pacceka Buddhas. Sometimes, like in the Isigili Sutta, the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha said, there was a time outside Rajagaha, this hill called Isigili Hill, there were 500 Pacceka Buddhas there, but none of them wanted to teach. But of course, it's not that they cannot teach. Yes, they are as knowledgeable as any other Buddha, including the Sammasambuddha. Only thing they're not willing to teach. But I guess if you went individually to any one of them and asked them the Dhamma, they would explain to you. So you can find many Pacceka Buddhas at one time. But Sammasambuddha is very difficult to find. The Buddha said one night he did not sleep. He spent the whole night contemplating the past. He contemplated 91 world cycles, and he saw there were only 6 Sammasambuddhas in a long period of time, 91 world cycles, only 6 Sammasambuddhas willing to teach the Dhamma. But then later books talk about 24 Buddhas, 28 Buddhas, 88 Buddhas in the Mahayana. All those are later. In the suttas, the Buddha only mentioned 6 Sammasambuddhas. But he mentioned the Buddhas of other Buddhas who are Pacceka Buddhas. So first, you have to draw near an Arya or a Sappurisa. A Sappurisa is a person who knows the Saddhamma. Saddhamma is the true Dhamma. Sappurisa is a true man, the true man who knows the true Dhamma. A Sappurisa is also an Arya. So when you draw near this Arya or Sappurisa. Other suttas say you should examine him. Examine him to make sure that he is possibly an Arya. And how do you do so? You see whether he keeps his sila, oral conduct. You see whether he has a calm personality. If he's calm, then he has samadhi. He's not a monkey mind, scatterbrain. And then when you talk to him, you can know whether he has wisdom or not. Yeah. So if he has these three things, sila, samadhi, panya, this is basically also the Aryan Eightfold Path. Then you can have some trust in him. And then the sutta says you also see whether there is greed, hatred and delusion in him. If he does not have greed, hatred and delusion in him, then also it's possible that he's an Arya. Then you show respect. After you show respect, then he is inclined to teach you. So when he teaches you the Dhamma, it should be the true Dhamma. And then after you listen to the true Dhamma, you should remember that Dhamma and think it over. During the Buddha's time, there were no books, not like nowadays. So when they hear the Dhamma, they have to remember it, because they might only hear it once. Yeah. So if they are not sure, maybe they have to ask the monk again to repeat. Then after that, during the Buddha's time, they had to memorize the suttas. If you don't memorize, it goes in one ear and goes out the other ear, you would have forgotten about it. So in the Buddha's days, the Buddha's monk disciples, nun disciples, laymen, laywomen, all had to spend a lot of time memorizing the suttas. But nowadays, if we listen to the SD card or the cassette, the CDs, no more cassette, then you listen to it every day. Every day you listen to it, at least it sticks in the mind. If you don't listen to it every day, very soon you forget. Yeah. So the Buddha said, whenever a monk thus recollects the Dhamma, thinks it over, on that occasion the enlightenment factor of sati is aroused by the monk. On that occasion the monk develops the enlightenment factor of sati. On that occasion the enlightenment factor of sati comes to fulfillment by development in the monk. So you see, this is the first Bojjhangha. You must have the opportunity to listen to the Sat Dhamma, the true Dhamma. And then you must remember it, and you must think it over. That is how you practice sati. Now what is Sat Dhamma? What is the true Dhamma? Because nowadays our Dhamma is very rojak. So we have to be clever, we have to be smart. Nowadays, everything we do have to be smart. So the Buddha said that his true Dhamma will last 500 years. Later books, they talk about 5,000 years. But in the suttas, the Buddha said his true Dhamma will last 500 years. Not that after 500 years you don't have the true Dhamma, but what the Buddha meant was, after 500 years, false Dhamma will appear. And the Buddha mentioned this in several suttas. In the Kassapa Sangyutta, chapter 16, I think, of the Sangyutta Nikaya, 16.13, the Buddha said, the true Dhamma will not disappear as long as the false Dhamma has not emerged. But when the false Dhamma arises, the Buddha said, then the true Dhamma will disappear. And the Buddha said, it is the foolish people here who cause the false Dhamma to appear. He was talking to the monks, to the Sangha. So what he meant was, it is the Sangha, it is the monks themselves who create the false Dhamma in the future. Future monks will create the false Dhamma. And that will slowly cause the true Dhamma to disappear. Also, the Buddha mentioned in another sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya 20.7, Upama Samyutta, the Buddha said that in the future the false Dhamma will appear, and then people will find it difficult to distinguish between the true Dhamma and the false Dhamma. And because people find it difficult to distinguish, then people will not have that interest in the Dhamma. The Buddha also gave a simile of false gold. The Buddha said nowadays there is no false gold, everybody wants to buy gold. But one day false gold will appear. And when false gold appears, people find it difficult to distinguish between true gold and false gold, and then people will be alarmed, dare not buy. So, since the Buddha said the true Dhamma will last 500 years, we have to know what was the true Dhamma within that 500 years. And luckily we have Emperor Asoka. Emperor Asoka lived about 250 years after the Buddha's passing away. And he had so much faith in the Buddha that he wanted the people to know the Buddha's teachings. So he got the words of the Buddha carved on stone pillars, and he erected these stone pillars on the roadside for people to read. And now, after over 2,000 years, archaeologists have dug up these stone pillars, and they find during Emperor Asoka's time, the Dhamma was only 5 Nikayas. Digha Nikaya, long discourses of the Buddha consisting of 34 suttas, long suttas. Majjhima Nikaya, consisting of 152 medium-length discourses. Samyutta Nikaya, over 2,000 short discourses, topically arranged. And then Anguttara Nikaya, over 2,000 suttas, numerically arranged. And then the last one was the Khuddaka Nikaya. Khuddaka means minor, smaller collection. But nowadays, they have kept adding books to it, so it has become a major collection. In Thailand and Sri Lanka, there are 15 books in the Khuddaka Nikaya. But in the Burmese tradition, in 1956, they had a Sangha council and they added 3 more books inside there. And all the monks knew that those 3 books were not the words of the Buddha. And yet they put those books there. So it shows how people keep adding the books. So you investigate the books in the Khuddaka Nikaya, you find only 6 can truly be accepted because it conforms to the earlier 4 Nikayas. These 6 books are the Dhammapada, Udana, Itivuttaka, Sutta Nipata, Theragata, Therigata. Only these 6 books are reliable. So that is the true Dhamma, the 5 Nikayas, earliest 5 Nikayas of the Buddha. Then we find exactly 500 years after the Buddha's passing away, we have later books emerging like the Mahayana Sutras, and the Abhidhamma, and commentaries. 900 years after the Buddha's passing away, the Visuddhimagga appeared. Nowadays, some monks teach according to the Visuddhimagga. You find in these later books that they have some Dhamma, that is why people are attracted to it. But at the same time, they add a little Adhamma. And that little Adhamma, they say things that the Buddha did not say. For example, in Mahayana Sutras, they talk about the 7th and the 8th consciousness. But in the early Buddha's discourses, he only talked about 6th consciousness. So they created the 7th and the 8th consciousness in Mahayana. And then similarly with the Abhidhamma, in Theravada we have the 7 books of the Abhidhamma. The first 3 or 4 is okay, it conforms to the early suttas. But the later, the last 3 books, they say a lot of things that the Buddha did not say. Talk about kalapas, javana, bhavanga, patisandhi, citta, chutti, citta, and all these things that the Buddha did not say. But then, these people who wrote these later books, saying a lot of things that the Buddha did not say, they did not study the words of the Buddha in the 5 Nikayas enough. If they had studied enough, they would know in the Digha Nikaya, Sutta 29, the Buddha said his teachings of the holy life are perfect and complete. If the Buddha's teachings are perfect and complete, it means you cannot make it more perfect. You cannot make it more complete. The Buddha also said that if you think you want to add to his words, you don't see his Dhamma. If you don't see his Dhamma, you don't have right view. You're not an Arya. Only when you see the Dhamma, vision of the Dhamma, which is Dhamma Chakku, Fa Yen, only if you see the Dhamma, understand the Dhamma, you have right view. So all the people who wrote the later books, they are not Arya, according to the Buddha. If they appreciated the suttas of the Buddha, they would know that it's more than enough. Since the Buddha said that his teachings are perfect and complete, it also means that he is the top-class Buddha. You cannot find another Buddha whose teachings are superior to our Buddha Gautama, because his teachings are perfect and complete. At the most, the best other Buddha you can find can only equal our Buddha Gautama. Cannot be better than our Buddha Gautama. And our Buddha Gautama is not only the best in the teaching and wisdom, he is also one of the greatest in psychic powers. In one of the suttas, the Buddha went to the Brahma heavens to teach Mahabrahma. Mahabrahma in the Rupa Loka and the Rupa form realm has great psychic powers. Some of these Mahabrahma, their light can shine up to 100,000 worlds so far. So when the Buddha came to teach him, he was not impressed by the Buddha. But then the Buddha showed him psychic powers. He was astounded. And he said something which was also, he said, he has never seen another ascetic whose psychic powers are so great, like this Samana Gautama. Buddha used to be called Samana Gautama. Mahabrahma has a long life. Such a long life that he has seen many ascetics with psychic powers fly up to the Brahma heaven, and other devas also. But he had never seen anybody with such great psychic powers as our Buddha Gautama. So a lot of people don't appreciate that we have one of the best Buddhas ever available. Don't appreciate his teachings, his suttas. Like in the Mahayana, they say our Pali suttas are xiao cheng, small vehicle, pariya. They are great. And similarly, for those who praise the Abhidhamma, they say the Abhidhamma is the higher teaching. Suttas are inferior, so they don't want to spend time studying the sutta. It's a great shame because they never investigated properly. So that is the first Bojjhangha, Sati Bojjhangha. Then coming to the second Bojjhangha, which is Dhamma Vichaya, investigation of the Dhamma. The Buddha said, dwelling thus mindfully, he investigates that Dhamma with wisdom, examines it, makes a discrimination of it. Whenever a monk dwelling thus mindfully, investigates that Dhamma with wisdom, examines it, makes a discrimination of it, on that occasion, the enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma, Dhamma Vichaya, is aroused by the monk. On that occasion, the monk develops the enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma. On that occasion, the enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma comes to fulfillment by development in the monk. So this is how you practice the second Bojjhanga. After you have learned the Dhamma, you must investigate it with wisdom, examine it carefully. Now, I will explain this too. Sati, if you look up the word Sati in the Pali dictionary, you find it comes from a word which means to remember. The basic meaning of Sati is to remember, to recollect. In 9 suttas, the Buddha defines Sati in this way. A person has Sati when he remembers what he said and he did a long time ago. So we translate Sati as mindfulness, but it has to do with remembering. So when we meditate, we train our mind to be mindful. And if you meditate correctly, according to the suttas, you should attain the 4 jhanas, because Sama Samadhi, right concentration, is defined as the 4 jhanas. In the Aryan Eightfold Path, Samasati, right mindfulness, is defined as contemplating body, feelings, mind, and Dhamma. So, the meaning of Samasati is to remember, to put your mind on 4 things, to contemplate 4 things. Because if you don't remember, our mind will start going out through the 6 senses, to see, to hear, smell, taste, touch, and think. So it is the natural tendency of the mind to pay attention to the 6 sense bases. We like to be entertained by the things of the world, to watch the TV, internet, to hear rock music, etc. So if we pay attention to the objects of the 6 senses, it's not going to give us wisdom. For example, you watch football, Premier League football. Wow, very exciting. Put all your attention there, very mindful. But does it give you wisdom? No. So that's why we have to remember to pull our attention from the things of the world to the 4 objects. The Buddha said the objects of the 6 senses is Mara's bait. Buddha said the Mara is like a fisherman. He put out 6 baits, 6 hooked baits, baited hooks. So the fish is hungry, it comes to eat the bait, get caught. In the same way, this Satan, Mara, is tempting us with beautiful sights, nice sounds, fragrant smells, good food, etc. So the Buddha said it's very dangerous to go out to the 6 sense objects. Now, of the 4 objects of Sati, body, feelings, mind, and Dhamma, there are some books that translate Dhamma as phenomena or mind objects. But when we see suttas like this Bojjhangha, Sati Bojjhangha, then we know Dhamma does not refer to mind objects. Dhamma refers to the Buddha's teachings. Because of the 4 objects of Sati, the most important is Dhamma. Why is Dhamma most important? Because in the Anguttara Nikaya 5.26, it is said that there are 5 occasions of liberation, 5 occasions when a person becomes an Arahant. The first one is listening to the Dhamma. When he listens to the Dhamma and he understands, then he attains enlightenment. For example, when the Buddha was gathering disciples, he went to these Jatilas because they cultivated the 4 jhanas. After he managed to convert them, after several weeks, Then they became his monk disciples. The Buddha preached to them the Adita Pariyaya Sutta, the fire discourse, because they like to pray to fire. Hearing just one discourse, all of them attain arahanthood. So, because their minds were very clear. So, this is the most common one, listening to the Dhamma. The second one is teaching the Dhamma. When somebody is teaching the Dhamma, he has to think and understand the Dhamma before he can teach. So, when he's teaching and he understands the Dhamma, there's a second time he becomes enlightened. A person becomes enlightened. The third one is when he repeats the Dhamma. During the Buddha's days, I said they have to repeat the Dhamma. As they repeat the Dhamma in their own language, they understand, and the more times they repeat, the more times the better they understand. It's just like nowadays, if you listen to the Dhamma talks on the SD card or whatever, if you listen once, you catch certain points. The second time you listen, you catch more points. The third time you listen, you catch even more points. And you're wondering why you didn't notice those points earlier. Because you didn't listen so many times. So the more times we listen, the more we understand. That is the third occasion. The fourth occasion, when he's reflecting on the Dhamma. After you have heard the Dhamma, when you have time, you reflect on it, whether it's true or not, whether you can see it in everyday life. And the fifth occasion is when a person is meditating. So out of the 5 occasions when a person becomes enlightened, 4 of them have to do with Dhamma. And this Dhamma refers to the Buddha's teachings, not to mind objects. So that is Dhamma. By the way, although these 5 occasions are mentioned as occasions of liberation, I believe they are also occasions for attaining the various paths and the fruits. For example, to get the lowest path, the first path, you have to listen to the Dhamma and understand. And then when you understand, you see the Dhamma means you have right view. Once you have right view, you have entered the stream, become an Arya. And then the suttas say that when you attain the path, the same lifetime, the wisdom will mature, it will turn to fruit before you die. Not immediately. Abhidhamma says immediately, but suttas say after some time. Because suttas say that you can make offerings, dana, to a path attainer, to a fruit attainer. But if a person attains the path and immediately it becomes the fruit, before you can say hello, he already turned to fruit. So how to make offering to a path attainer? So that's why you find, if you know the suttas well, you can see the contradictions between the later books and the earlier suttas. In the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 43, it is said that there are 2 conditions for right view. Once you get right view, it means you have understood the Dhamma, attained the Dhammacakku, vision of the Dhamma, and that means you have attained stream entry. Stream entry is also the first path, the lowest Arya. So in Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 43, it is said there are 2 conditions for right view. One is the voice of another, the second is focused attention. The voice of another means the voice of another person teaching you the true Dhamma. Either the suttas themselves or teachings based on the early suttas. So this only is mentioned only 2 conditions, the 2 basic conditions necessary for attaining stream entry is the voice of another teaching you the true Dhamma. And then when you listen, you must focus attention. Why is focus attention important? It's explained in Sutta 46.38. The Buddha said, when monks, a noble disciple listens to the Dhamma with eager ears, attending to it as a matter of vital concern, directing his whole mind to it, on that occasion the 5 hindrances are not present in him. On that occasion, the 7 Bojjhangha go to fulfillment by development. So you see, when you listen to the Dhamma with eager ears, attending to it as a matter of vital concern, directing the whole mind to it, at that time the 5 hindrances are absent. The 5 hindrances are 5 things that obstruct wisdom, that make us blind, that hinder right view. If you have the 5 hindrances blocking you, you cannot attain stream entry. But the Buddha says, when you listen to the Dhamma, you pay full attention, attending to it as a matter of vital concern, directing your whole mind to it. At that time, the 5 hindrances fall to a low level, and they don't obstruct you. At that time, you can understand. And he even says that the 7 Bojjhangha go to fulfillment. That means the conditions are right for you to attain this right view, stream entry. That's why it's important when you listen to the Dhamma to pay full attention. So we find that in the suttas, many people came to listen to the Dhamma for the first time, and then they attain stream entry. Afterwards I will mention, it's not that difficult as some people think. But however, there are some people, when they listen to it the first time or the second time, they don't attain. They are not so intelligent. If you are very intelligent, you catch it immediately. This is like cracking a joke. Somebody cracks a subtle joke. Some people are very sharp. Immediately they ha ha ha. And then the second type of person, he has to think it over for some time. Maybe later he will ha ha ha. Then another person is scratching his head. At night when he's about to go to sleep, suddenly he catch the point. He'll ha 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 and then fall asleep happily. The fourth type of person, the next day or so, he scratches his head, also cannot understand. So it's the same with people who listen to the Dhamma. There are some people, they listen very fast, they catch and attain stream entry. Second time, they have to take some time, keep on listening. Maybe after they finish listening to the 5 Nikayas, then they get the overall picture, then they attain right view, stream entry. The third time, they have to listen several times, the 5 Nikaya. Then after a few years of patient labor, then he understands, attains right view. The fourth time, is very blur, so he listens, he cannot penetrate, so after a while he gives up, no more interest. So, because of that, the Buddha said, some people have to cultivate the second Bojjhangha. Second Bojjhangha is investigation of the Dhamma. Take more time to investigate the Dhamma. But sooner or later, you will understand that if you have the interest, you will listen to the Dhamma, the 5 Nikayas every day. I think today we brought some CDs in a plastic box. I don't know whether it's all taken up. And some SD cards you can buy from a brother there. The SD card contains about 300 hours of Dhamma talks, and we have remaining is the English and the Hokkien, and it's $10. It's about the cost of the SD card. Why do we have to investigate the Dhamma? The Buddha explained in Sutta 56.18. The Buddha said in the 4 Aryan truths, in other words in the Dhamma, there are innumerable nuances, innumerable details, innumerable implications. In other words, there are different shades of meaning in the Dhamma when you study the Dhamma. Many details and many hidden meanings which you don't catch immediately. You need to take time to constantly reflect on it and keep on listening, and then the effort will be rewarded. There is in the Sotapatti Sangyutta It talks about 4 conditions of stream entry. Earlier, we heard 2 conditions, but now this one says 4 conditions. It's called Sotapatti Yangani. 4 conditions for stream entry. The first one is association with the Sappurisa, associating with the true man. Second is listening to the true Dhamma. The third one is focused attention. The fourth one is Dhamma nu Dhamma Pati, practice of the Dhamma in accordance with the Dhamma. That means as you listen to the Dhamma and as you understand, you practice what you can. But of course, for the lower stage, the most important is to keep on listening to the Dhamma based on the 5 Nikayas. Keep on listening every day and investigate it, think about it, reflect on it, etc. That is the most important work you have to do. Then after some time you will understand. Then the sutta also says these 4 conditions for stream entry, when developed and cultivated, lead to the realization of the fruit of stream entry, Sotapatti Pala. In other words, if you keep practicing these 4 conditions, that path will turn to fruit in the same lifetime. You become a Sotapanna. And then in the Sutta 55.40, the Sangyutta Nikaya, the Buddha says, if a person, if the 4 conditions for stream entry are completely and totally absent in a person, that person is not a follower of the Buddha. Not a Buddhist, he's actually an external sect follower. So if you don't listen to the Buddha suttas, the Buddha says you are not his follower. You are following some other religion. Why? Because the Buddha thinks it is so important that the Buddha called all the monks Savaka, all the nuns Savaka, all the laymen Savaka, all the lay women followers Savaka. Savaka means listeners or hearers, Senwen. So only if you listen to the Buddha's earliest discourses, you are considered a Buddhist. If not, you are not a Buddhist at all. Because one day you call yourself a Buddhist, we find many people after 10 years or so, they change their religion. They don't have that solid faith because of not understanding. But when you understand the Dhamma, your faith is not blind faith. Your faith is based on understanding. You all either switch off your handphone or put it on silent mode, please. Okay, now I will give you a few examples in the suttas and the Vinaya that shows it is not so difficult for stream entry. In the Sarakani Sutta 55.24, there was a Sakyan by the name of Sarakani who had just passed away, and then they asked the Buddha, where was Sarakani reborn? And he said, Sarakani has gone for a rebirth, for a good rebirth. He was already a Sotapanna. So the news spread. When some people heard it, they were very unhappy. They said, this Sarakani is a drinker, he likes to drink liquor. He cannot even keep his 5 precepts. If he can be a Sotapanna, we are all Sotapanna already because we keep the 5 precepts. So the news came back to the Buddha. The Buddha said, Sarakani has taken refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha for a long time. Why can't he be a Sotapanna? In other words, he has listened to the Buddha for a long time already, has understood the Dhamma. Then the Buddha said something very surprising. The Buddha said, you look at these big trees. If I were to teach the Dhamma to these trees and they can understand what I say, even the trees can become Sotapanna. Why can't Sarakani become Sotapanna? Yeah? So you all have a good chance to be a Sotapanna. So the Buddha did not say, if I taught the trees meditation, they can become a Sotapanna. It is not by meditation that you become a Sotapanna, it's by hearing the Dhamma. Before the Buddha was enlightened in India, there were a lot of yogis who practiced very hard to end suffering. They meditated so well, some of them had psychic powers. But you could not find a single Arya. It's only when the Buddha started teaching that Aryans appeared by the thousands, tens of thousands. Then, in the Vinaya books, One of the Buddha's disciples is one of those who like to meditate, not interested in the Dhamma, not interested in the Sutta. Devadatta was his name. When the Buddha taught the Dhamma, he would not pay attention. There is a sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya where the Buddha scolded one of the monks. He said, I notice every time I teach the Dhamma, you don't pay attention. Like a small boy. So, Devadatta was one of those. Because he was very ambitious, wanted to get psychic power. So he meditated so hard, he had psychic powers. And because he had psychic powers, the Prince Ajatasattu was very fascinated by him, became a fervent disciple. So one day, this Devadatta, he saw the Buddha was very old already. He asked the Buddha to step down. He said, let him take the Buddha's place. And the Buddha scolded him in front of all the monks. He said, I never asked Sariputta or Moggallana to take my place. You want to take my place. Scolded him very badly in front of all the monks. He got so angry, he wanted to kill the Buddha. So he tried several ways to kill the Buddha. But of course, once he had the intention to kill the Buddha, he lost all his psychic powers, or lost all his jhana. Because he did not have right view. So he asked this Prince Ajatasattu to give him some men to do some work. So the prince told several men to do whatever Devadatta asked us to do. So he called the first man. He said, you go to this forest where Samana Gotama is. You go and kill him and come back by this road. So this man went. After this man had gone, he called two men. He told the two men, when this man comes back by this road, you kill him and come back by another road. Then he asked 4 to kill the 2, asked 8 to kill the 4, asked 16 to kill the 8. So that it would be difficult to trace who gave the orders. So the first man went off, and then he came to where the Buddha was. He saw the Buddha sitting there waiting for him. And he got a shock, this guilty feeling. He knew must be the Buddha knows what he's up to. So he put his weapons down and confessed to the Buddha. He had no intention to kill, but he was ordered to do so. The Buddha said, never mind, you sit down, I will teach you the Dhamma. But Buddha taught him the Dhamma, he attained stream entry. And the Buddha said, you don't go back by that road, 2 people waiting to kill you. Run off another way. So he left, and then the other 2 waited, could not wait. They came to where the Buddha was. Same thing, they saw the Buddha, they got frightened. Buddha also asked them to sit down, taught them the Dhamma. 2 also attained stream entry. 4 came also attained. 8 came also attained. 16 came also attained. Such people can attain, surely we all can attain, isn't it? So that is another clear case. And then there was another time in the Vinaya books where the Buddha converted 1,000 Jatilas, matted hair ascetics. They became his monk disciples. And then after that, the Buddha preached to them one discourse, and they all became Arahants. Then the Buddha brought them to Rajagaha to see King Bimbisara. And King Bimbisara threw a big lunch dana for all of them and asked the people of Rajagaha to come up and see the Arahants. It was very rare to see Arahants. So according to the Vinaya books and the suttas, 120,000 people came. So many. After lunch, the Buddha spoke to all of them, and all of them attained stream entry. And then another occasion in the Vinaya books, 80,000 people came to see the Buddha. First time they saw the Buddha. The Buddha preached to them the 4 Aryan truths, basically on impermanence, and because of impermanence, it gives us suffering. And impermanence also implies non-self, nothing that is permanent in the world. Everything is changing like a flux of energy, never stands still. So they also, 80,000 also attained stream entry. So some people, when they hear this Bhante simply say, listening to Dhamma can attain stream entry. They are not happy. They say, during the Buddha's time is different. The Buddha is a Sammasambuddha. When he speaks, he has psychic powers, people can understand. Is it true? Not necessarily, because they didn't study enough. In the Vinaya books, Sariputta and Moggallana, they were external ascetics, following, I think, the Samana Sanjiva, I think. So one day, Sariputta went on alms round, Pindapata, and then he saw this Venerable Asaji, one of the first 5 Arahants, on alms round. And when he saw Venerable Asaji, he was taken back because Venerable Asaji looked so calm, and the face was so serene and bright, totally different from other monks. So he went to Venerable Asaji and asked Venerable Asaji, Bhante, who's your teacher? He thought if the disciple is like that, the teacher must be greater. Who's your master? And what does he teach? So Venerable Asaji had just been an Arahant. Venerable Asaji said, I've just become a monk under my teacher. I don't know very much Dhamma. Then Venerable Sariputta said, doesn't matter, little or much, you just tell me what you know. Then Venerable Asaji said, my teacher teaches like this. Chinese we say, 诸法因缘生, 诸法因缘灭. All dhammas arise from conditions. All dhammas cease from conditions. So Venerable Sariputta is a very sharp person. When he heard that, he understood everything in the world arises from conditions. And because of conditions, they all cease. It's not like somebody created everything in the world. So he saw impermanence. Everything arises and ceases. He attained stream entry, right view. Then he found out where the Buddha was and all this. Then very happily he left and went to see Moggallana. Moggallana saw him also, thought he looked different, and asked him what happened. And then he told Venerable Moggallana the same thing. And Venerable Moggallana also attained stream entry. So you see, in the case of Sariputta, he did not hear it from the Buddha. He heard from an Arahant, still can attain stream entry. And then in the case of Moggallana, he did not even hear it from an Arahant, he heard it from a stream enterer. Person who has just attained stream entry, if he teaches you the right Dhamma, you also can attain, not necessarily Buddha. So now ada chance. Once a person becomes a Sotapanna, there are 4 characteristics. He has unshakable faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. He never changes his religion. And he has the Aryan precepts. What are the Aryan precepts? The Aryan precepts are found in the Aryan Eightfold Path. There are 3 factors that constitute Sila. Right speech, right action, and right livelihood. If you investigate this, these 3 factors, you find there are 7 precepts. 3 body precepts, 4 verbal precepts. Not to kill, not to take what is not given, that is not to steal, not to engage in sexual misconduct. Verbal, not to lie, not to engage in divisive speech, not to engage in coarse or vulgar speech. And the 4th is not to engage in idle gossip. So these are the 7 precepts. If you can uphold these 7 precepts, you have a chance to become an Arya. Also, once a person becomes a Sotapanna, he has a maximum of 7 lives left. So because of only 7 lives left, he has very little suffering. Because if you don't attain stream entry, you'll be going around the round of rebirths endlessly. Because the Buddha said, there's no end to samsara. There's no end to time. So in the long cycle of samsara, you will fall into the ghost realm countless times. You will be an animal countless times. You go to hell countless times. So once you become a Sotapanna, the suffering remaining is very little. Also because once you become an Arya, your blessings is very great. Very great. So the 3rd Bojjhangha, after you practice Sati and Dhamma Vichaya, you should attain stream entry. You should attain right view. After that, you practice Virya, energetic effort. And then that is the 3rd Bojjhangha. The 4th one is Piti. Piti is synonymous with the 1st Jhana. The fifth Bojjhanga is passaddhi, tranquility. Tranquility is synonymous with the second jhana. The sixth Bojjhanga is samadhi, concentration, synonymous with the third jhana. The seventh Bojjhanga is upekkha, equanimity, which is synonymous with the fourth jhana. So the last four Bojjhangas are the four jhanas, which is right concentration. And you get that by practicing samatha. Samatha is calming the mind. Vipassana is contemplation. So in Chinese we say samatha vipassana is chirguan, stilling the mind and contemplation. Now, in the Majjhima Nikaya, you see, after you get right view, it says you have to put forth effort. And then after you put forth effort, you get the four jhanas. What is this, putting forth effort? In where? How to put forth effort? This is not explained here. So we have to go to some other sutta to find out. That is why it's very important to study many suttas. If you just study one or two suttas, you don't get a clear picture. You are like the four blind men asked to say what an elephant looks like. So one blind man touched the leg of the elephant. He said the elephant is just like a coconut tree. The second one touched the tail, which was moving. He said the elephant is just like a fan. Another one touched the body, solid. He said the elephant is just like a wall. Another one touched the nose. He said the elephant is just like a pipe. So you see, if you only know certain suttas, each sutta tells you the truth from one angle. So you need many suttas to show you the truth from different angles. Then you get an overall picture, right? That's why, like in this Majjhima Nikaya 43, it is said that after you get right view, you have to practice 5 other factors to attain liberation. 5 other factors. First one is sila, oral conduct, or keeping your precepts. The second one is Dhamma savana, listening to the Dhamma. The third is Dhamma sakacha, discussion of the Dhamma. The fourth is samatha. The fifth is vipassana. So if you practice samatha, you'll end up with the 4 jhanas. That takes care of the 4 jhanas. So in between, what else do you need to practice is sila, Dhamma savana, Dhamma sakacha, and vipassana. And what is this sila? Now we refer again to the Aryan Eightfold Path. In the explanation of the Aryan Eightfold Path, in the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 117, it is said there is only one way to practice the Aryan Eightfold Path. You must enter the Aryan Eightfold Path by right view, the first factor, not any other factor. Some people don't understand. Right view, you must get from listening to the Dhamma. Some people practice the last factor first. They meditate. That's the topeng liao, tian tao liao. You can only enter the Aryan Eightfold Path through right view. And then this Majjhima Nikaya Sutta says, after you get right view, it brings you to right thoughts. And then after that, it will bring you to right speech, and then right action, then right livelihood, then right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These factors follow naturally. So how come? You see, once you get right view, you get rid of your wrong views. You get rid of your wrong prejudices. You get rid of your wrong thoughts. So you will naturally have right thoughts. And then that will bring you to right speech. Why? Because before you can talk, you must think. Think only you can speak. So if you have right thoughts, then you will naturally have right speech. And because of right view and right thoughts, you will also have right action. You won't harm other living beings. And because of that, you will have right livelihood. You don't harm other living beings through your thought, through your speech, through your action. You will have right livelihood. So you see, once you get right view, these 4 other factors follow quite naturally. Right? If you understand the Dhamma. Then after that, you have to put forth effort, right effort, and right mindfulness. This right effort and right mindfulness is vipassana. Chinese we say nei guan. And it's something you practice in everyday life, not in meditation. Nowadays they talk about vipassana meditation. It's not the Buddha's teaching. Vipassana meditation was created later. The Buddha's teaching is only samatha, because in the Majjhima Nikaya, Venerable Ananda was asked what type of meditation is praised by the Buddha. And he said first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. Only this is Buddhist meditation. And then he said the type of meditation that is not praised by the Buddha is the type of meditation, if you practice, it does not cut the 5 hindrances, does not eliminate the 5 hindrances. But you find in some other sutta that only jhanas can eliminate the 5 hindrances, long term. Short term is by concentrating your mind when listening to the Dhamma. So vipassana is what we practice out of meditation. When you sit down with your legs crossed, you should only practice samatha. And when you are not in meditation, you put your attention on your body, feelings, mind and Dhamma. And why do you need to practice right effort and right mindfulness? Because you need to, these two together is development of character. Please don't play with your handphone when you are listening to Dhamma. It's not showing respect. Oh, okay. I thought you are contacting somebody. Okay, so this right effort and right mindfulness. If you want to practice right effort, you must also practice right mindfulness. They come together. Yeah. And the purpose of vipassana is to get rid of unwholesome states and to develop wholesome states. Because the Buddha says unwholesome states bring you down, bring you to woeful planes of rebirth, to the ghost realm, animal and hell realm. And wholesome states bring you up to heaven, to human rebirth. What are unwholesome states? Like greed and lust, anger and hatred, arrogance and pride, deceitful and cunning, shameless, lazy, selfish, ungrateful, disrespectful, unmindful. All these are unwholesome qualities. And wholesome qualities and generosity, kindness, compassion, humility, honest and straightforward, diligent, morally upright, mindful, etc. So we have to make effort to cultivate these wholesome states and get rid of unwholesome states. And as we do that now, our character develops. That's why it's called development of character. And when you practice samatha, you develop your mind, because when you attain the jhanas, you get rid of the 5 hindrances. 5 hindrances obstruct us a lot, give us a lot of mental suffering. And some people, when their hindrances are very strong, sometimes you see in the newspaper, an old man raping the granddaughter because his sensual desire overwhelms his mind, enslaves the mind. He cannot control himself. And some people, the anger is so strong, when they get into an argument, they kill somebody. So these 5 hindrances are great obstructions. But when you attain samadhi, they are pushed down to a low degree, where there are no more obstructions. It's not that they are not there anymore, they are still there. But they become so little that they are not obstructions. So I like to give a simile of the lalang. You know, lalang is a tall grass. Suppose you were walking in the jungle and in front of you are 7-8 feet tall lalang. It's a big obstruction because you can't see the tiger hiding behind the lalang. And then as you walk through the lalang, it cuts your face, cuts your hands and all that. But if you cut it down to 12 inches, it is no more an obstruction. It is still there, 12 inches. So in the same way, if we attain the first jhana, it's like the lalang cut down to 12 inches. It's no more an obstruction. It's still there. And then when you attain the second jhana, it's like the lalang has cut down to 8 inches. When you attain the third jhana, it's like 4 inches. When you attain the fourth jhana, it becomes 1 millimeter. So little. That's why the Buddha praised the fourth jhana. The Buddha says when a person attains the fourth jhana, the mind is so still that the breathing stops. And then when he comes out of the fourth jhana, if he walks, he's like walking in heaven. If he sits, he's like sitting in heaven. If he lies down, he's like in heaven. And the mind is so clear. The Buddha says if a person attains the fourth jhana, the mindfulness is perfectly pure, parisuddhi, perfectly pure. So pure that when he comes out of the fourth jhana, he can remember his past lives. 10 lives, 100 lives, 1,000 lives, hundreds and thousands of lives he can remember. There is a monk who doesn't understand, and he says, what is the use of jhana? When you attain jhana, you have no mindfulness. Because he studied the Abhidhamma so much, and he's not familiar with the suttas. So the Buddha said, disrespect for samadhi is one of the factors that cause the disappearance of the true Dhamma. Nowadays, some people look down on samadhi, they think it's not necessary. It's very necessary because only with samadhi you get a very clear mind. So, here you can see the third Bojjhangha, when you say put forth effort, is upholding your sila, which comes naturally after you get right view. But the two other things are very important here is Dhamma Savana and Dhamma Sakacha. Listening to the original Dhamma and discussing the original Dhamma. So before you got right view, to get right view, you have to listen to the true Dhamma to get right view. And after you get right view, to become an Arahant, you still have to listen to the true Dhamma and discuss the true Dhamma to understand. In addition to practicing samatha and vipassana. So you can see how important knowledge of the true Dhamma is. You don't have a good knowledge of the true Dhamma, you cannot become even the lowest Arya. That's why you find the Buddha's disciples, during the daytime, they after they go on alms round, come back, eat their food, then they spend the time meditating. Every night they come together and discuss the Dhamma. These are the two pillars of spiritual practice. Listening to the original suttas and meditation to clear the mind. Because the clearer your mind is, the more easily you can understand. When we practice samatha, meditation, we train our mind to focus on one object. It's something the mind does not like to do. The mind likes to go out and play, out to the six senses and play. But we don't allow it. We always bring it back to our breath, keep pulling back. So we train our mind to focus. That's very important. You train your mind to focus so that when you listen to the Dhamma, your mind will naturally focus. Becomes very sharp and you can understand the Dhamma. Okay, I think I'll end here. Yeah, invite questions.
How do you know when you have attained the first stream?
When you have attained stream entry, your direction in life will be different. Before you attain stream entry, you may like to go to the casino, like to go to Hajjai, fly to Hong Kong for lunch and come back, and all that. Go to China, sightseeing. After you learn the Dhamma, then you realize, wow, life cannot play, because very dangerous. I've got 5 destinations of rebirth, and you can easily fall into 3 woeful planes. Then you get scared. Then you know, listening to the Dhamma and meditation is very important. Then you don't go with your friends happy hour and all that. You tend to be alone. And people see a funny fellow already. But cannot be helped. There's a price you have to pay. There's an Indian saying, the holy path is the path of the alone, to the alone, by the alone. Only Ying Xiong, heroes can walk that path. So if a person has not changed, he claims to be a Sotapanna, cannot believe. Some people go for a retreat and they come back, they say their teacher said, it go liao, Sotapanna. But you find the temper is still so big, still so arrogant, wants everybody to know that he is a Sotapanna. Yeah?
In
modern life, there are many negatives. Sometimes we need to do what we shouldn't do at work. So how does the Dhamma apply here? It's very difficult sometimes.
You have to see your conscience, see whether it is bearable or not. If you think it goes against your principles, then don't do. When I was a young man, like many people, like to be macho, so I joined the Naval Volunteer Reserve Force, became a captain there. And after 2-3 years, I learned the Dhamma. And I felt becoming a naval officer conflicts with the Buddhist teaching. The Buddhist teaching is way of peace, not to fight and all these things. Then I resigned from that. So in the same way, you think you can tolerate it, you tolerate. If not, it disturbs your mind, you change your job.
The world is driven by money, desire, and greed. So because of this, the traveling is very difficult.
We're not asking you to be an arahant in this life. You can attain stream entry, is good enough.
Or maybe we can have a windfall, then we can turn over. Then we can live this samsara life and then,
A few years ago, I read about a doctor in Singapore. After he graduated, he was one of the top students in studies and sports. So he graduated as a doctor, I think from NUS, and then he wanted to become a specialist. He studied, but he thought a bit slow to make money. So he went into this, what do you call it, plastic surgery. You beautify the lady, tighten the skin and all this. Within the first year he became a millionaire. After a few years, he had a few doctors under him, became a multi-millionaire. He bought Porsche, Ferrari and all that. Then at the age of 40-something, suddenly he got cancer. 4th stage cancer. Then just before he died, he went back to NUS and talked to the students. He said, life is not all about making money, he said. He said after making so much money, now that he's dying, he finds there's no purpose in life. So you have to be wise. For me, I gave up my job as an engineer, turned the other way, and just as about to throw in my resignation letter, I got another promotion. So I thought that Satan's tricks are trying to hold me back. So I still resigned. Now, having become a monk for 35 years, 3 years in Mahayana, 32 years in Theravada, I'm a very happy person. I'm coming to 71 this year. I think my life is meaningful because I benefit myself and benefit other people. I've taken the trouble to teach the 5 Nikayas in English, all the 5 Nikayas. And I think 4 Nikayas in Hokkien. And it has benefited many people. There's few people come and tell me how their life has changed after listening to the Dhamma, some of them with tears in their eyes. And I know 3 or 4 people whose depression was cured after listening to the Dhamma. Because depression, because it's of attachment, we cannot let go, or gives us mental suffering. So when you understand the Dhamma, you start to let go, and you become much happier. So materially, I'm very poor, not a cent to my name, but inside not so poor lah. Yeah, give somebody else a chance. You just follow the sequence in the SD card. Introductory talks, advanced talks, Anguttara Nikaya.
The Mahayana five perfections is actually more similar as the Eightfold Path.
Are you talking about the paramitas?
Six paramitas.
Okay.
It's almost the same as the Eightfold Path.
Not different. It's totally different.
It's only rearrangements.
No, totally different. The six paramitas, perfections of character, are worldly things. Don't bring you out of samsara.
It's not in the original.
The Buddha never even heard of the word paramita. These paramitas, there are six in Mahayana, and then Theravada later, Kyasu, make it 10. These are based on the Jataka stories. Jataka stories are grandmother's tales which existed before the time of the Buddha. And then after the Buddha was enlightened, they used this to teach children. Because these Jataka stories are useful for children, there's a moral behind them. When I come from a Baba Nonya family. When I was young, my grandmother used to tell me stories of Sangkanchil, which were very nice to hear, Sangkanchil. So, but these are all stories. Because you think about it, these Jataka stories, animals can talk. And animals are smarter than men. Like the rabbit, he saw the hunter hunt the whole day, did not shoot any animal. So at night the hunter was very hungry. He boiled the water, nothing to eat. So this wise rabbit jumped into the pot, committed suicide for the hunter to eat. Dana, sacrifice. This is foolishness because the Buddha said, a wise person's dana, offering, charity, must not harm himself, must not harm others. Same with the Vesantara Jataka. Vesantara Jataka, I said the Buddha tried to perfect his parami of giving. So he gave away his wife and his two children to a heartless beggar. He knew the beggar would beat them. Yet he gave his wife and his two children to the beggar. Senseless. There are many such things in Mahayana. I spent 9 years in Mahayana. 6 years as a layman and 3 years as a monk. So I know quite well. For example, there's one Mahayana Sutra that says the Buddha is walking in the forest and then he saw a skeleton lying there. And then in front of all his disciples, he bowed to the skeleton. And they asked him, Bhagavan, why do you bow to this skeleton? He said, Nanda, you don't have wisdom. This one could have been my mother or my grandmother, grandmother or grandfather or whatever in the past life. Imagine, skeleton, if he can bow, what if he sees the real life being? He should bow, isn't it? The Buddha said, there's hardly any being you meet who has not been your relative in the past. So if the Buddha met a pig, a wild boar, he should bow. Yeah? Because the wild boar was his previous life mother, he should bow. Silly, isn't it? If you don't think, you accept it. When we are new in Buddhism, I accepted a lot of things, very fascinating. But later, when we learn to think, I was in a Catholic school for 12 years. When I was young, I was very taken up by the Catholic religion. I used to go to the chapel every day and pray. When I was in Form 6, this computer started to work. Then they say things like, if you don't baptize, become a Christian, you go to hell forever and ever. And not logical. I suppose a person is not a Christian, but he's a good man. Help everybody, does not do evil. Why must he go to hell forever and ever? In the first place, why did God make hell? God made hell to put somebody there, isn't it? So how can God be compassionate if He makes hell to put somebody there? Yeah. Also, they say God knows the past, the present, and the future. So if He knows everything, when He makes somebody, He knows in the future this person is going to heaven or hell. If going to hell, put on hold. Why never put on hold? So a lot of these questions disturb me. Disturbed me very much. One day I went to the chapel and I said, sorry lah God, so many doubts, I cannot come every day. And I left the religion for a few years. Later something happened, then I went back to religion. Studied all the major religions until I came to Buddhism.
If there's no self, then who is the one behind us to do the thinking, seeing, talking, and doing?
The dreamer, you are the dreamer.
Then who is behind the dreamer?
There is no one behind the dreamer. Suppose at night you were dreaming, and in your dream you were so frightened. Then you ask the same question. Who created you in the first place? Nobody created you, you created yourself. The normal mind, the Buddha said, we have a misperception of the world. Our perception of the world is through our eyes, through our ears, our six senses. The Buddha said we have been deceived by the mind for a long time. So we see the world as outside of us, and we are inside this body. But it's not true. For example, we think the eye sees the world. The eye does not see the world. If the eye can see the world, we go for a quick operation, take out the two eyes, put on the table and ask the eyes to see. Can it see? No. But at night when you are dreaming, you are not using your eyes, and yet you can see, you can hear, you can smell. Somebody punch you also you can feel. So the world is not out there, but it is in consciousness. The Buddha says, whenever consciousness arises, it arises with nama rupa. Nama rupa is the whole world. Once you are conscious of the whole world. And why the consciousness arises is because of your desire to live. When we are dying, most of us, we are not willing to die. We want to live. So the will to live makes the consciousness arise. But nothing stays permanent in the world. Everything is impermanent. The consciousness will cease. Once it ceases, because of your desire to live, it arises again. So you think about it, you only exist for one moment, when you're one conscious moment. After that you die. After that you live again. After that you die. I remember there's one Christian saint, I think he was a meditator. He said, I die every moment. Maybe you could see this consciousness arise. So it is because of not understanding the Dhamma, you just believe your senses. You go and listen to the 5 Nikayas. Later, after listening a few times, then you come and ask me.
That means the consciousness belongs to all of us.
Don't think too much, you go cuckoo.
Thank you.
Okay, Bhante. In the mindfulness of breathing, anapanasati, it's mentioned in this 7 factor of enlightenment 4 times. Why?
Those 4 factors is not anapanasati. Those 4 factors are the 4 jhanas.
No, he mentioned the 16 tenets, right? The 1, 4, 5, 6.
Are you talking about Bojjhangha?
No, mindfulness of breathing, the sutta.
Okay.
118. Right? And then he mentioned this will fulfill 4 foundation of mindfulness, and 4 foundation of mindfulness will fulfill 7 factors of. It's mentioned 4 times. He said to the body, to the feelings, to the mind. Why?
Why? Because when you see, when we start off practicing anapanasati, mindfulness of the breath, we contemplate only one object, which is the breathing, which is considered part of the body. But when a person is practicing this anapanasati, he has to be very, very mindful. He is practicing Satipatthana. And Satipatthana and Sati are different. Sati is just mindfulness. Satipatthana is intense state of mindfulness. If you go into our website or our Facebook, Vihara Buddha Gautama, There is a booklet, I think I brought a few copies, Contemplation and Meditation. It explains the difference between Sati and Satipatthana. Sati is what you practice in normal everyday life, right? Mindfulness. But Satipatthana is what you practice in meditation, intense state of Sati. To understand this, you have to listen to the Satipatthana suttas, where the Buddha described how to practice Satipatthana. It's different. It's intense state of mindfulness. So when you practice intense state of mindfulness, the mind is changing. Feelings are changing. For example, piti, delight, arises. When you attain the first jhana, delight arises. Happiness arises. That happiness is body happiness as well as mental happiness. So if a person is practicing correctly, the Buddha's meditation, he's mindful of all these. He's mindful of the four objects of Sati also, because even though he's contemplating one object, his mind is so clear that he can notice all the other things. So like in the Anupada Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 111, the Buddha described the states of jhana experienced by Venerable Sariputta. He said when he attained the first jhana, the feelings that arise, he knows. Those that persist, he knows. Those that cease also he knows. The perceptions that arise and all that, the changing state of mind, he can see the Dhamma, everything. So you have to study more suttas, then you understand. You just study Anapanasati Sutta, you won't understand.
I just want to test my understanding and in summary, the key takeaway of today's session, whether I miss any point. I think what you're trying to say is that we should base our learning on the suttas, Dhamma, practice, listen to more Dhamma, discuss Dhamma, and practice meditation. And is that all? Yeah, I'm not sure whether I missed that.
Yeah, quite correct.
Quite correct. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is it possible to study sutra without referring to tree or just by purely studying?
Yes, but the problem is if you study the suttas by yourself in the books, you find hard to understand. There were several people who tried to study the Nikayas by themselves and they found so difficult, they stopped. But when they listened to my talks, then they said it was much easier to understand. The reason is because after I speak the sutta, I explain. And I explain using different suttas. As I mentioned just now, if you are a blind man, you touch the elephant's foot and you think an elephant is just like a coconut tree. But if you touch the different parts of the elephant, then only you get an overall picture. Much easier if you listen to my talks. Like if you can't get the SD card today, you can download from the internet, our website. Yes.
And I like to say that for this meditation, jhana must be involved. Must have jhana.
Jhana is the result of right meditation. But you have to be careful because nowadays some monks teach jhana using Visuddhi Magga, not the suttas. So their jhana, their samadhi is a bit different from the Buddha's samadhi. Yes.
Other than listening to your explanation, is there any good methods or ways or tips that you can share with us that we can learn Nikaya better?
Other ways of what?
Learning the Nikaya, understanding. Because you walk through the path.
Just listen to the talks and meditate.
I understand there's a difference between the arahant. Some are dry, some are wet. still yet became
That is wrong view. That comes from the commentaries. That is not the Buddha's words. Nowadays there's a lot of teachings taught even by famous monks which contradict what the Buddha said. In the suttas, in the Anguttara Nikaya 9.12, 3.86, the Buddha said the Sotapanna and the Sakadagamin, the first and the second fruition, Arya, they have perfect sila. The Anagamin has perfect sila and perfect samadhi. The third fruit, Arya, has perfect sila and perfect samadhi. Perfect samadhi is the 4 jhanas. Okay.
Chinese
Say again.
I cannot remember the Pali version, but then the Buddha actually was talking of this. He says that you need to have all the psychic powers and all that in order to see the Dhamma. And I think the answer here is
Wait. We are not talking about psychic powers. We are talking about the jhanas.
even the jhanas itself. That particular.
If you are referring to the Ahanjing, it's not accurate.
Even if there's a Pali
No. Susima Sutta has been purposely misinterpreted. After this, I talk to you about Susima Sutta. But, okay, this one, I was mentioning the Sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya, where an Anagamin must have 4 jhanas before he can become an Anagamin. And Arahant has perfect sila, samadhi and panya, meaning he must have 4 jhanas before he can become an Arahant. Just now I mentioned about the Jatilas, matted hair ascetics. The Buddha went to them because they had attained the jhanas. And the Buddha only spoke 1 sutta and they all became enlightened. There's another sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. The Buddha says that there is a path to eliminate the 5 lower hindrances. Without walking that path, it is impossible to eliminate the 5 lower hindrances. When you eliminate the 5 lower hindrances, you become an Anagamin. And Arahant has also eliminated the 5 lower fetters. And that path is the 4 jhanas. Without the 4 jhanas, you cannot become an Anagamin and an Arahant. So the commentaries, which was written by later monks who could not attain the jhanas, because to attain the jhanas, you have to practice like the Buddha's disciples, go and live alone in the forest. But those monks who wrote the commentaries and the later books, they are scholar monks. They live comfortably in a monastery and they don't have to work, they have so much time, they start writing all this nonsense. So they say, the commentaries say, there are 5 types of Arahants. One has 4 jhanas, one has 3 jhanas, one has 2 jhanas, one has 1 jhana, and one has no jhana. This is totally in contradiction to the Buddha's earliest discourses. And then referring to the Susima Sutta, in the Susima Sutta, there was an external sect ascetic. He and his monk friends, they were very jealous of the Buddha because the Buddha's monks receive a lot of offerings and they receive very little offerings because they did not practice well. So their sect asked somebody to go and become a monk under the Buddha Gautama and learn their secret. So he went and asked to be ordained. Susima asked to be ordained as a Buddha's monk. So he was ordained. After he was ordained, he saw some Arahants declaring final knowledge. That means the attainment of Arahanthood to the Buddha. And then whenever they declared that they had become an Arahant, he went to them and asked them, have you attained this psychic power and that psychic power? They said no. Have you attained the arupas? Arupas are the arupa jhanas What do you call it? Usa Chan, is it? Chan and 色禅and 无色禅. Wu se is formless jhanas. And they said no. They said we have attained liberation through wisdom. Okay, that's all they said. They did not say they did not have any jhanas. They did not say they don't have the 4 jhanas. They said they don't have psychic powers and they don't have arupa, formless jhanas. That's all. And then he asked a few of them also, he got the same reply. Then after that, he came to ask the Buddha. And the Buddha said, whether you understand or you don't understand, these monks are liberated by wisdom. And then the Buddha said, first there must be unshakable understanding of the Dhamma. That means first you must become a Sotapanna, you must get right view. Afterwards, Nibbana. So, first thing you must get right view first. After that, you put effort, continue the practice. Just now I mentioned 5 factors, Sila, listening to the Dhamma, discussion of the Dhamma, Samatha and Vipassana. In the case of Samatha, you don't need psychic powers. In the case of Samatha, you also don't need the Arupa jhanas, the formless jhanas. What you need is the 4 jhanas, and these 4 jhanas are Rupa jhanas. So all the Arahants had attained the 4 Rupa jhanas. They don't need the Arupas. So they purposely misinterpret that. I say the Arahants don't have jhana. The sutta doesn't say they don't have jhana at all. Yes. No, rubbish. This is totally rubbish. Vipassana jhana. Contemplation jhana. How can you have contemplation jhana? Yeah.
So, jhana is a criteria for liberation.
Yes, minimum 4 jhanas for total liberation.
In order to go into insight meditation.
Say again?
In order to proceed into insight.
There is no such thing as insight meditation. That was created later. Insight comes from contemplating the Dhamma, contemplating the body, feelings, mind and Dhamma, 4 things. In daily life. No, meditation, the aim of meditation is to eliminate the 5 hindrances. That's why the Buddha said, remember Ananda said, the type of meditation praised by the Buddha is the 4 jhanas. The type of meditation that is not praised is the type where you don't eliminate the 5 hindrances. So, yes, it's long term. But jhanas are not necessary for stream entry, because there is a sutta 55.40 where the Buddha talked about 2 types of Sotapanna. One is the diligent Sotapanna, one is the negligent Sotapanna. The diligent Sotapanna, after he attains Sotapanna, he does not make further effort to attain any jhana. The diligent one makes further effort to attain the jhanas. The negligent one does not make any effort to attain the jhanas. That shows both of them don't have jhana. This is the only sutta in the 5 Nikayas that says very clearly that Sotapanna does not need any jhana. But if you want to attain Sakadagamin, the second fruit, you need at least the first or the second or the third jhana. And then for Anagamin and Arahant, you need 4 jhanas. Yeah. You just listen to the sutta and practice according to the sutta, then you are correct. No need to know so much. You haven't come to the stage when you need to know. That's why you need to have a good foundation in the suttas. When you have a good foundation in the suttas, then you can differentiate the teacher who is teaching correctly or not correctly. That's why in the suttas, the Buddha said, if any monk, Anguttara Nikaya 4.180, the Buddha said, if any monk says that the Buddha taught like this and like that, the Buddha said, don't accept, don't reject. Compare it with the suttas. Only it conforms to the suttas, then it is the Buddha's teaching. Of course, the Buddha also said Vinaya, but Vinaya is for monks and nuns. So for lay people, your important one is the suttas. Also, when the Buddha was about to pass away into Parinibbana, Venerable Ananda asked him, Bhagavan, after you are gone, whom should we take as our teacher? He said, take the Dhamma and Vinaya that I have taught to be your teacher. So our real teacher is the Buddha's suttas, not any other monk. Don't ask so many questions, just study the suttas and progress slowly. The Buddha said, the progress in the spiritual path is like the ocean. When you go into the ocean, it slopes very slowly. There is no sudden deepening. So you just go slowly. Don't think of when I can become an arahant. No, Abhidhamma was created about 500 years after the Buddha's passing away. And there is evidence, some scholar monks like this Akira Hirakawa, the late professor of Buddhism in Tokyo University, wrote a book. He said that the Buddhism split into many sects. And the later sects, each had their own Abhidhamma. They created their own Abhidhamma. So you can see, for example, now in Theravada, we have 7 books of the Abhidhamma. The first 3 or 4 books is quite okay, it conforms to the early sutta. But the last 3 books, they added a lot of things which the Buddha did not say. So it gives you wrong view. If you don't have a good foundation in the suttas, why do you want to learn the Abhidhamma? The Buddha says his teachings are perfect and complete.
So now, during our meditation, we only, if I choose my breath as an object, so all the while we will focus on the breath.
Yeah.
We don't focus on changing other objects.
No. There's a Chinese Zen saying, more life, more chant, 4 life, 4 chant. Buddha comes, cut him off. Mara comes, cut him off. What he's trying to say is, whatever you see, whatever you hear, etc., don't pay attention. There's some people, they meditate, they want to see heaven, they want to see hell, and they start imagining, they can see heaven, they can see hell. After some time, they go cuckoo.